Hello, this is Uncle Jim. We picked up this Rock Island 10mm last night. PSA had them on sale for $3.99, and it's loaded with features, and I'm pretty impressed with it. So last night I did 2 videos on it, 40 minutes of video and rambling and how to check everything on a 1911 for fitment, but I gotta streamline this video. It was just too long. So it comes with a nice plastic box, a manual that you need a microscope to read, and 1 magazine. Okay, and it comes with what looks like a metal form magazine. No dye follower. It looks like a metal form 10mm, but it's unmarked. They have the bumper on this because this comes with a add-on extended mag wheel. That looks fine. The mag wheel, it looks like it's a Wilson. It slips under the grip and hooks around with 2 flat pieces of metal. That's fine. You can take it or leave it. If you do use this, you're going to need bumpers on your magazines. I got plenty of those, but I got to decide. So this model is the M1911 A1 FS-Tac II. And this one has the parkerized finish, which is going to get all scratched up. I stripped it down because when it comes in the box, it's in a baggie just caked in oil. I mean, this thing was drenched. So I just stripped it down with alcohol right now, so it might look a little funky. It's totally stripped on the outside. And I gotta clean the firing pin for sure. So, firing pin channel. Anyway, I'm very impressed with this. So I was checking all the fitting on here. Previous video, we scrutinized it, but I'll just give you the gist. The slide stop, slide release is fitted perfectly. You got your detents here. There's a little spring here with 2 detents if you don't know. And it is perfect. It's not too tight, but it's fitted very, very well. It's not sloppy, not mushy. Same with the safety. The safety is perfect. That's how I would fit one. And it's perfect. Not mushy, perfect. They give you an ambidextrous safety, which I could take or leave, but they did it right because some ambis, they're using the grip to keep it together and it kind of channels. They did the right thing here and did it properly, so it works perfectly. And I like that they're slim, so they're not sticking out too much and obnoxious. They're nice and slim. It's not sharp. Perfect. Love that. The fit from the slide to the beaver tail to the frame, everything is blended beautifully. You hardly see the extractor. There's no unsightly gaps. And the beaver tail, because I've fitted these, so I'm kind of looking at, how they did this, and it's perfect. I mean, it's all smooth and fitted nice, nothing dragging, and that is very well done. Impressive for the price. I took a magnet to everything. The mainspring housing is checkered and it's steel. So that's good, and they did a good job. There's no unsightly gaps. The front, they give you these swoop serrations vertically here. It's just an easy way to do it. It really doesn't help much, but nice little touch anyway. The G10 grips that come with it are awesome. I love the grips. They're not too aggressive, but yet they are, but they won't chew you up. They're just right, I think. And they look good, and I like the color, so that's nice. We'll see if the bushings come off with the grips. Sometimes that happens on 1911s. In that case, you would take Loctite, put them back in, let it set up overnight, and then your screw won't come out with the bushing. I haven't checked to see if that happened yet. I took a magnet to the trigger, and it's steel. I thought it'd be plastic or aluminum. It's got a 90s look to it, and it has a over travel stop here that you can adjust. I've touched nothing. All I did was just take the oil off of here. And so it feels pretty good. It's got some slight serrations on it. And as far as the trigger goes, we're unloaded here. The trigger is crisp. I was surprised. There's no creep. You got your typical little take up there on a 1911. If you don't like that, you can shim it, but I like to feel a little bit of something there. Perfectly crisp. That was surprising. However, it's a little on the heavy side for what I'm used to, but mine have trigger drops, so I don't have a... I'm going to say it's 5 pounds, okay? Which isn't bad. As long as it's crisp, I'm fine with that. What I really like about it is there's no milled-in logos or NASCAR stickers or graffiti garbage on the slide. The slide's a traditional, original Browning style, straight-up serrations, nice and sleek. I love that. I'm old school. I just like that. And so the only logo is right here, and it's not even etched in there deep or anything, so I love that. I don't want to pay for a gun and have their billboard all over the gun, so I like that. Now, the barrel is fitted very nice. There's no dip in the hood. It's rock solid. The link is the proper size, so there's no dip or anything. Everything inside, the lugs on the barrel and inside the slide here are nice and sharp, and when this barrel locks in, it is just super tight. There's no end play. Everything is fitted like it was fitted, but I doubt they do that. So I was surprised with that. The sights are nice, fiber optic front sight. You can change any color you want. Fully adjustable for windage and elevation, which is always handy on a 10mm or any 1911 really. And they do have the white dots in the back, which could be busy, but you can blacken those out. And then they have a Novak style window, which I like. I'm used to those. Put on lots of those back in the day. So that's nice. That's pretty nice. And it's not plastic. Kind of impressive for the money. Let's get back in focus here. So yeah, the beaver tail and everything is fit beautifully, and the slide to the frame is super tight, and hopefully it stays that way for a while. It is tight, so I don't know if they get them almost perfect and then they just do a slight stone, but whatever they did, there is no the slide is tight. Okay, so that is awesome. Everything was fitted tight. Even the extractor is tuned perfectly. I was amazed. I was really amazed. It could be just this gun. I don't know. But so far, really good. We used to sell these a long time ago. And the only problems was I've had a few come back, years ago, and the bushings were cracking. Sometimes. Only a couple were sent back. Other than that, really no problems. And it looks like they really refined their guns now. This is my first Rock Island I've owned. And I'm amazed at how well everything is fit. The mag release doesn't drag. It's a little bit on the stiff side right now, but it's new. And nothing's dragging, okay? There's no marks from... I've been dry firing this and playing with it. So very impressive. Okay, so we're going to take her down to Chinatown and check the chamber. Happy to report it's got a nice ramped, steep ramped, fully supported chamber. So I guess that's it. The one funky thing is it doesn't have a bushing. So this is more like a 4 or 3-inch 1911. And the barrel does not move at all. And it actually gives you more weight up front. See how you got this bull barrel at the end here? And this has a nice weight to it. And so you need a takedown tool or a paper clip to take it apart, like say a 4-inch Kimber or something like that. And being that it's got a 10mm spring in it, it's little tougher. Usually on those 45s, the shorter ones, I would just take the slide off. I would just retain it, pull the slide stop out, and then let it go. And then I would press the recoil spring and put the paper clip in. But in this case, I'll do it the way they say to do it, or doing it on the gun. Now, the funny thing is they don't give you a little takedown tool, which is ridiculous. It must frustrate a lot of people, but all you need is like a paper clip. This is just a quickie makeshift piece of wire here. You need it stiff enough to hold that strong spring. So you got a little hole that goes through your guide rod, and you stick this in here and then let the slide forward, and you can feel the slide is loosened up and the spring is retained. And that's how they do that with this type system on 1911s. I like let's close this for a minute. I didn't cover this. I like their ejection port. They lowered and flared the ejection port, and then they have their own unique chamfer here that's more squared off, and I kind of like that look. That is really cool. Instead of round. That's neat. So far everything is blended and fit together. Everything, nothing's loose, nothing's sloppy. Safety is perfect. Beaver tail's perfect. Perfect height. This is an Ed Brown style. And they blended everything. Everything is smooth and fitted looking, even though this isn't a fitted gun. Impressive. Okay, let's take it apart. Go from there. All right, so you take your little paper clip there and let the slide forward very carefully, and then you just line the slide stop up, and then you can take this out, and then it just comes forward like that. All right, probably not in camera. And then get your barrel back here, and then this just slides out, and that's how this is retained. It has a sleeve on it. The rounded end, just like this, goes towards the barrel. And it's not that bad, so if you want to change the spring. Okay, let's get a better view. I don't want to do this video over again. So barrel down, link forward. You can just pull it out. Okay, it's all retained. I got this stupid paper clip here. They should have provided one, but I'm going to make a better one. And you want a nice stiff one so it can handle the recoil spring. I didn't talk about the recoil spring. That was the first thing I checked. 10mm are usually undersprung, and your brass goes flying forever. And I was happy when I was racking this gun. It's at least a 20-pound spring, and that's where you start off in a 10mm 1911. You start off with 20, and then you can go heavier. You don't want to go too heavy because the slide would be slamming forward, and you got to find the sweet spot. So it's got the sleeve here. The round end goes towards the barrel just like this. And if you want to take your spring off to change it or put a buffer on, you can put a buffer on right here. Saves a little bit of battering. Take your barrel out, and then, upside down. Take your barrel out and then put it back in the sleeve, and you can use the gun as a tool, okay? And you would, on this stiff spring, on the 45s, it's easy. You can just do it by hand right here, put the paper clip in and out. You can take it down that way, but in this case, it's a stiff spring. So what you would do is just put a block against here or the edge of a table, and then push this forward, remove the clip, and your spring comes out. See, my paper clip thingy is impeding. I need a nice stiff straight one. Okay, we're improvising right now. All right, so the inside of the slide is there's no mill marks. That's kind of surprising. Whatever machinery they're using, it looks clean, perfect. It looks like a more expensive 1911. That's very impressive. And the extractor is fitted beautifully. Here's a dummy round. So you don't have to do that. A lot of 1911s will come with a loose extractor. This is an internal extractor, which I prefer because you can tune it. If you have an external extractor like a SIG or a Smith & Wesson, you're pretty much screwed fitting that if it's not right. You're going to have to send it back. Internal-wise, the way Browning designed it, you can tune your extractor right here using the gun. So you take your extractor out, turn it around, put it about halfway in here, and you can just bend the tension a little bit. Don't be going back and forth with it, but you can tweak the tension. You can do it right at the range, and a lot of these are too loose or too tight. So we're going to put this dummy round in here, and what I look for, and you can feel it, is if the extractor is too tight or too loose. If it's too loose, this would just wobble right out. If it's too tight, it's going to impede your feeding, okay? Because the rim's trying to get under here while it's trying to feed. They have this tuned just right. Now, it could just be this gun, and I can feel it. It's not impeding, and it's just holding it. So it's not too loose or too tight. You line it up where the firing pin would be. Boom, bang, pow. Very impressive. That I've had more expensive 1911s that these were not tuned right out of the box. You can shape them and do all that, but there's no need. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we'll see when I shoot it. Now, the goodness. The chamber. This is what I was very excited about when I put a dummy round in here. This has a very steep ramp barrel, which means it's got total support here, so you can shoot hot loads. Now, is it going to feed with that steep feed ramp? And I racked some dummy rounds in here, and it does feed, so that is super nice. And you can see my reloads here, plunk test. Okay, so we got the audible click. Beautiful. That's my usual overall length. Here's a Tin Man hollow point. Perfect. Okay, I got one loaded long. So this is kind of like my max gauge when I'm seating bullets for different barrels. One of my aftermarket barrels for the Glock is super picky, and this will not even go all the way in. This one does, but I can feel that it's just barely touching the lead. You know, the powder-coated lead here, just barely. So I know that's my maximum. That would feed, but I want it to drop free, okay? So in case people are curious, the overall length on here on the Lee bullet, which is almost a 180 grain, is 1.284. So I just go a thou or two less than that, and I'm a happy guy. I mean, this is not a picky chamber, and it's supported. Let's look at that, and we'll do a close-up. So some 1911s don't have a ramp barrel, and they're unsupported, and they'll leave a bulge. The Delta Elite, I think the Ruger is unsupported. You want a ramp barrel on a 1911 10mm, okay? Or any 10mm. So what you look for, the base of the rim right around here. You want to see that close to that where the feed ramp is. And this guy has got super good support, and I could shoot hot loads in this thing all day long and not bulge any brass. It's also not super tight here, especially good for lead bullets, you know, when you're the diameter, but it's not loose. It's not really loose. It's just got, it's like they had the perfect play for this. That is awesome for this price of a gun. I'm kind of impressed. I'm trying to pick this thing apart, but everything is fitted beautifully. So let's put this together so we don't ramble for an hour. Okay, so you put your slide back on like any 1911. Line it up with the detent here. Make sure this is all lined up. Okay, get it started. All right, and then for people that don't know and don't want an idiot mark on their gun, this one is fitted tight, but it's perfect. So you're in your link here, and one thing to be careful, I like to lay it on the table, but for the video I got to do it this way, so we're going to be a little more shaky. So anyway, just put your slide stop back into the detent here, and I really haven't checked it. Let me take this out for a minute. Well, usually there's a little swoop dimple carved in there, but in this case there's no issue to make it easier. Okay, so just have it about like this, and you want to go up a little and in without making any scratch marks on your frame. Nice. This comes in and out perfect, yet it's tight, but it doesn't cause you to cause any damage. A little swoop mark here is called the idiot mark, in case you guys don't know. And then we still have our paper clip in here. See how it's still loose here? All right, so we rack it. Okay, the rack position, and you can see the paper clip just fell right out. And I gotta make a better one of these. You want it nice and straight, and you want the perfect height here, so it doesn't drag when you're moving this in and out. So the gun's back together. And I'm very impressed. So I guess that's the first part of the video. And I guess we'll just end it there. Sorry how long it took and everything. I had more detail on checking things on 1911s, but I already know it's healthy. And if the extractor was a little wonky and I shot it, I already know that's going to be an issue. But in this case, I think this is going to run just fine. You're going to have to wait for the next video. I need to clean the snot out of this. It is just caked. We got to totally strip her down. And so I hope you found this interesting. My son found some metal form 10mm mags at the gun store, and they were cheap, and they rack back, so we'll see how they work. However, we got this magwell extension, so you can't put a mag in on YouTube. So you have to use your finger or put a pad on it. That's the only difference. They fly right out. And I've fed dummy rounds with both, so I know they're good, and we're good to go. Hope you found this interesting. I say it's a great value. If you get one like I did, that thing should be a lot more money. But for $3.99, that is just fine. Until next time.